Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari signs executive orders seeking to checkmate corruption just as leaders of the Northern States Christian Association of Nigeria meet with the president demanding end to killings. Gunmen killed 5 people in an attack on Mararabankola community in Guyuk local government area of Adamawa State. Senate resolves to investigate alleged murder of a female youth corps member by a policeman and the killing of 7 policemen by gunmen in the Federal Capital Territory. And dozens missing following capsize of 2 passenger boats off the coast of Phuket Island in Thailand.
On Business News tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari steps into dispute between Federal Accounts Allocation Committee members and state governors.
On sports news, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, appoints the Battle Nigeria Football Administrator, Amaju Pinnick, as its first vice president.
National leadership of People's Democratic Party assures party members in Ekiti State of victory in the July 14 governorship election.
We begin tonight at the presidential villa where President Muhammadu Buhari has signed an order to preserve assets connected with corruption in a move he describes as retooling to effectively tackle corruption. At the signing ceremony of the Executive Order 6 at the council chamber of the villa, President Buhari explained that the order will restrict dealings in suspicious assets under investigation. The president also received in audience a delegation of the Christian Association of Nigeria who took him on task on the killings in the country. Our State House correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari signing the Executive Order 6, which is aimed at tackling corruption. Witnessed by some members of the cabinet and the judiciary, the president believes that the order will strengthen the fight against corruption.
There is also a very strong link between corruption, peace, and security. Unfortunately, corruption is everywhere, at all levels of government and every stratum of our society. It is in consequence of this that I have decided to issue the Executive Order number 6 of 2018 to inter alia restrict dealings in suspicious assets subject to investigation or inquiry bordering on corruption in order to preserve such assets from dissipation and to deprive alleged criminals of the proceeds of their illicit activities.
The order is consistent with the powers of the President under Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and the Attorney General of the Federation will execute and coordinate the order.
The executive order seeks to preserve assets constituting subject of corruption in the spirit of Section 44, subsection 2K of the 1999 Constitution relating to temporary taking of possession of property for the purpose of any examination, investigation, or inquiry.
President Buhari also hosted a delegation of the Christian Association of Nigeria from the 19 northern states and the FCT. The governor of Plateau State was also in the meeting, and they discussed the recent killings in some parts of the country.
We came with deep hearts, very heavy hearts, to talk to Mr. President. Everybody that have any other thing they want to do before have left it to make sure that we're here in our numbers. And being here today is to say to him, if there is a way these killings will be stopped in our region, in northern Nigeria, because most of the people being killed are innocent people.
The delegation is leaving the presidential villa with an assurance from the president that action will be taken to tackle the challenge. From the presidential villa, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
More insecurity and police in Adamawa State have confirmed an attack on Mararabankola community in Guyuk local government area by armed bandits. Channels Television gathered that the gunmen stormed the village overnight, killing no fewer than 5 residents and injuring 2 others. The police public relations officer in Adamawa State, Uthman Abubakar, told our correspondent that 4 men and a woman were killed, while several houses were razed by the attackers. He explained that the couple also sustained serious injuries from the attack and are being treated at the specialist hospital in Yola. The sole administrator of Kola State Development Area, Honorable Sam Kasiwa, also told Channels Television that soldiers have been deployed to the area. And talking about killings, the Senate has resolved to investigate the murder of a corps member, Ms. Linda Igwetu, who was allegedly killed by a policeman on Wednesday, July the 4th, in the Federal Capital Territory. Members of the upper legislative chamber also took the decision to probe the murder of 7 officers by gunmen on July the 2nd at Galadimawa roundabout, also in the Federal Capital Territory. Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki has directed the Senate Committee on Police Affairs to investigate the circumstances leading to the killings of the police officers while they were on active duty.
I wonder and I imagine the kind of trauma this family will be going through now, who are already expecting, preparing to receive their daughter, today being thieved after national service, only to receive her corpse.
How could this happen? How could, as you say, the officer mistakenly or whatever had led to unfortunately gunshot that led to this lady's death? And secondly, as you rightly said also, we had passed this compulsory treatment and care of victims of gunshot. President assented to it on the 30th, end of December. Meanwhile, you now go to a hospital and they will not treat her. I mean, if they treated her, she might not have bled to death. So these are deaths that are easily could have been avoided. And I think until we start holding people accountable to these kind of incidents, they will not stop. I observe that we have not taken this issue of the 7 police officers that were killed, I think, was it on Monday in Galadima Junction. So I would like us to please find out what happened as regards to these 7 police officers that were killed, the circumstances.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has also resolved to investigate the circumstances surrounding the protests by some policemen in Maiduguri, Borno State over non-payment of their 6-month salary arrears. The House noted that the Ministry of Police Affairs and the Police Service Commission receive an annual allocation for payment of salaries and allowances of police personnel, including those on special assignments. The lawmakers say that they are concerned that the police, who ordinarily should provide security for the citizens, could openly protest, fully armed, leaving the people they are supposed to protect in fear.
These are some of the policemen who took to the streets on the 2nd of July 2018 in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to protest non-payment of their salaries. This caused quite a stir across the country and within the police force, prompting the Vice President to summon the Inspector General to an emergency meeting. When the matter is raised in the House of Representatives, members are united in their stance.
The House further notes that the protest, which is said to have been carried out by some men of the Mobile Police Force Unit, popularly known as MOPOL, not only caused severe traffic grid but also affected economic and social activities and brought the city of Maiduguri to a standstill for several hours.
It is actually a thing of shame that the Nigerian police will be reduced to the level whereby his rank and file will openly be protesting just because they need to be paid their entitlement.
To avoid a recurrence, according to the lawmakers, the Inspector General should pay the ultimate price.
Police officers with guns are blocking the road.
Silence, please. Honorable members, silence,
calling the
please.
IG, based on what I saw, calling the IG a thief.
I also want to remind us here that recently on 2 occasions on this floor, not quite a month, we have passed a vote of no confidence on the top echelon of the Nigerian police on this floor. So it means this is a justification for what we have done.
The thing has moved to the uniformed men. that is his own boys or his own men who are working with him. The implication of this is that they no longer have confidence in the ability of their boss.
Further debate on the matter was then brought to a halt as the lawmakers resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate and report back to the House within 2 weeks. This is coming at a time when the country is facing internal security challenges, a time when these very security officials should be focused on providing the needed security for citizens. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, agrees that it's logical to obey court orders and judgments. But in the case of the former National Security Advisor, retired Colonel Sambo Dasuki, he says that such orders would have to be weighed against public interest. Mr. Malami, who was speaking to journalists in Abuja, explained that where public interest prevails, private interest would have to take the back seat. He, however, added that the government is looking at the issue that relates to the compliance with the rule of law and associated security implications.
The fundamental consideration relating to the application of law and order is that you have to look at it and juxtapose it with the private and public interest. So where the public interest naturally prevails, so it is only logical that private interest should naturally be submissive to it. But then as far as the compliance with law and order is concerned, it's one of the issues that we are here to address, and I would like to be preemptive in terms of giving you a definitive position as it relates to what we intend to do, how we intend to go about it. But then it is a holistic gathering that is intended to look at the application, compliance with the rule of law and associated security implications as it relates to the governance of the country. It is only logical, generally speaking, as far as the courts are concerned, as far as judgment and orders of the court are concerned, it is only logical that they should be given effect. But then within what context and to what extent is equally forms part of issues for discussion.
A Catholic priest who was kidnapped in Delta State has regained his freedom. Reverend Father Andrew Anna, the parish priest of the Sacred Heart Catholic Church, was earlier reported to have been abducted today. The Delta State Police Public Relations Officer has confirmed that the priest's abduction and subsequent release has been effective. He also revealed that it is the second time the priest is being kidnapped, as he was also abducted last year. About 48 hours ago, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa had decried the incessant activities of kidnappers in the state while addressing some traditional rulers in Anyocha North local government area in the state. Kidnappings has reportedly been one of the increasing arm in the state again in Anyocha North local government area after it had earlier been subdued. In part two, after the break, warring communities in Cross River State and neighboring Ebonyi State resolved to settle their differences over a boundary dispute following a bloody conflict. That's in a moment. Stay with us.